Welcome to the check-in report where the story and the party never ends. We are here for another episode to talk about today's topic, and my topic is, did Drake violate New York City, the Mecca of hip-hop, by calling Atlanta, not New York, the most important place in rap music? Let me put my headphones on. Hold on. Let me put my headphones on real quick. Thank you for joining me. This is the check-in report. Did Drake violate New York City, the Mecca of hip-hop, by calling Atlanta the most important place in rap? I found this very disturbing. As a man from New York, born and raised in Long Island, I thought that this was a travesty. I thought that this was an absolute slap in the face to all of the pioneers in rap on hip-hop's 50th birthday. Where's my bell at? Hit my bell real quick. Hold on. This is hip-hop's 50th birthday. And here we have a suburban, biracial, half rapper, half R&B singer from Canada, mind you, telling us that Atlanta is the most important place in rap music. A slap in the face to all the pioneers, all the veterans, all the New York rappers who laid down the groundwork, the foundation. And now listen, did New York lose its handle on hip-hop music? Did New York lose its sound? Did New York lose a lot of these elements and a lot of the traditions and the culture that was, keeping New York fresh and popping? Yes, New York did lose a lot. New York did lose its handle on hip hop. And yes, Atlanta, as well as Southern rap, did pick up where New York left off. But to say that Atlanta, not New York, not the Bronx, not Brooklyn, not Queens, not Staten Island, not Long Island, but Atlanta, GA, past the Mason-Dixon line, is the most important place in rap, I have an issue. And I want to hear you guys' thoughts. I'm gonna let some of you guys come in here. I want some of y'all to come in here. I'm gonna keep this stream running. I want to hear you guys' thoughts. Do you think Drake violated New York City? Did Drake violate the Mecca of hip-hop, which is New York City? He has an album coming out for all the dogs. He had a song just go #1 this week. He's the biggest hip-hop artist on the planet today. And I want to even say Drake might be the most important hip-hop artist of all time. He may be the most important hip-hop artist of all time. Some people may say Tupac. Some people may say Jay-Z, Kanye. Everybody has their favorites. Some people might say, I'm sure some white people would say Eminem. But you could make an argument that this man, Drake, is the most important hip-hop artist. And he is calling Atlanta the most important city to hip-hop. Not New York City, not the place where it was founded, where it was cultivated, where the culture was cultivated, where it started, where the pioneers put down the groundwork, the foundation. On Sedgwick Ave, the first hip-hop party. This is the 50th year of hip-hop. And we have suburban kids from Canada, suburban kids from Toronto, from I don't know where he's from, and I don't even think he's from Toronto. We got suburban kids from Canada telling us that Atlanta is the most important rap city. So I want to hear you guys' thoughts. I want you guys to come in here, but let's get to this whole thing. We're going to play the video. We're going to talk about Mr. Aubrey disrespecting and violating New York City, ladies and gentlemen. There's no way around it. Did he violate New York City? Absolutely. He violated us. He kicked dirt on us. To call Atlanta the most important city to rap music. Now let's be honest. As I said, I'm going to be honest here. I'm going to tell the truth. My mom always used to say, tell the truth, shame the devil. So we have to tell the truth and we have to be honest. Did hip hop lose? Did New York City hip hop, East Coast hip hop, did it lose its handle on rap? Yes. A lot of the people who we consider GOATs, like the Nas, the Jay-Z's, a lot of them did not, farm for good talent. They didn't find, a lot of New York rappers had to leave New York to get a buzz. I can name at least 3 off the top of my head. So it wasn't a very good farming system. There wasn't a lot of popping New York artists doing more to make other New York rappers grow. You had rappers like A$AP Rocky. He had to implement a whole Southern style to get his stuff popping. You had guys like French Montana who had to move to Atlanta to get his career upstarted. You had rappers like Nicki Minaj. She had to move to Atlanta. She's from Queens, New York. She had to move to Atlanta to get her career started. So, did New York lose its handle? Absolutely. That's not going to be a debatable thing here in terms of that. Nobody could deny that Atlanta took over, that New York fell off, that New York wasn't the standard for hip hop. It became that. In the 90s, actually, Atlanta really started jumping off maybe mid 2000s. Mid 2000s, Atlanta was really starting to take over. In the 90s, it was really, they were coming through the door, but it didn't impact yet. It wasn't a full takeover, a wide scale takeover. By the time we're in 2004, 2005-ish, it was a full scale takeover of Southern hip hop. And, New York or East Coast hip hop almost became obsolete. I mean, the sound, when you think of the New York sound, that raw, dusty, 808s, kick snares, you don't hear that style prevalent. You don't hear that style on the Hot 100. You don't hear that style anymore. Now you hear the Southern style. You hear the trap beats, or you hear the drill sound. So yeah, it was a wide scale takeover. But for hip hop to have a suburban kid, and let's be honest, Drake is a suburban kid. He's a suburban kid from Canada. And listen, I'm a fan of Drake. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Drake is in my top 5. And I know a lot of people might think that's blasphemous, but I've actually thought about this. This man, Drake, he's in my top 5. So, we can't sit up here and act like this man is, he may be the most important hip hop artist of all time. He may possibly be the most important hip hop artist of all time. Do you know that this man, Mr. Aubrey Drake Graham, is one number 1 hit away from tying Michael Jackson? That has never been done. Jay-Z didn't do it. Eminem didn't do it. Kanye West didn't do it. Nas didn't do it. Who else? Big Stars, 50, Nelly, big stars in hip hop, people who we consider the greats in hip hop, did not do what this man was able to do since he came out. So his voice and his impact is very important, and what he has to say is very important. So let's get into the video of him saying that Atlanta is the most important place in rap music. It happened at his tour at the It's All a Blur tour. He was out in Atlanta. You know, did he placate to them? Did he, kind of like, put them over? Did he kind of like, want to just be, give them good greetings and, and just be nice to the city? Absolutely. I'm sure he did that. And I'm sure that was going through his mind when he did the show. But it was a complete and total disrespect. Because let's be honest, we have a lot of New York strayaways that are in Atlanta today. I mean, half of Atlanta is from New York. So, I mean, there was a lot of New York people there that heard this, and, I don't hear nobody really talking about it, but it kind of disturbed me. But let's play the video. Let's get into it.
All the love that you show, all the musicians that you birth, all the contributions that you give. This is hands down the most important place in rap music. You should be very proud of yourselves. I know me, all the artists that I've done the greatest work with, all the artists that I love, all the artists that inspire me, majority of them come from right here in Atlanta. So y'all make some noise for yourself tonight. We celebrating you.
Let's play that again, one more time.
Where would any of us be without Atlanta? All the love that you show, all the musicians that you birth, all the contributions that you give. This is hands down the most important place in rap music. You should be very...
Atlanta is the most important place in rap music, ladies and gentlemen. That's what came out of his mouth, man. A complete and total violation to New York City, the birthplace of hip hop, ladies and gentlemen. The birthplace. And like I said, there was a lot of New York strayaways. There's a lot of New York strayaways in Atlanta right now. There's a lot of people that have moved from Atlanta and have, migrated to Georgia. And they're not also just in Atlanta. They're also in the town surrounding Atlanta. But I'm sure there was a lot of New York strayaways that was there, and they heard this. Where's the outrage? Honestly, the most important place in rap music. He is saying that it's Atlanta, ladies and gentlemen. Not the place where hip hop was founded, not the place where hip hop was cultivated, not the place where the culture started. And I'm going to play a video of how this could have happened to New York. There's a young man by the name of Stunted Growth. He does content on just the failings of certain rappers and what went wrong in their careers. But he also has a Fallen City series where he talks about how New York City fell off. And I think I'm going to get into that video. It's a very interesting video, and I want to play it, because I want to ask you guys, what are your thoughts? Why do you think New York fell off? Why do you think New York City ultimately bit the dust in hip hop? Was it 50 Cent and all the beefing with this rapper and that rapper? 50 Cent, if you don't know, 50 Cent, he ran through New York like a tornado. Here you had a guy who was so popping, a guy who was easily the hottest rapper in the game, but wanted to beef with every single rapper in New York. Because at first it just started off with him just going at Ja Rule. It was him against Ja Rule. First it just started as that. Then it went from 50 Cent, Ja Rule. Then it went to 50 Cent, Ja Rule, Fat Joe, Jadakiss. Then it went from bigger than that. Then he's beefing with Diddy. Then he's beefing with Jay-Z. Then he's beefing with this guy in New York. He pretty much had the whole New York in a frenzy. And it did create a lot of redlining, because there was a lot of people that couldn't work with Ja Rule anymore. There was a lot of people that couldn't work with Fat Joe, or couldn't work with Jadakiss. There was a lot of, it created a lot of line, and it created a lot of division in New York City. And I do want to play this video, because this man, he did break it down. He did a very good job, and it's called Fallen City Series: How New York Lost the Sound and the Stunted Growth Music. So I want to play this video, because I did watch this video, and it was very good, and it did talk about how this did happen. So I want to get into this and talk about it, because it's very of critical importance that we watch this, because, you know, it might bring some light to what actually happened in New York. But in terms of Drake disrespecting, we're gonna get to the video, but in terms of Drake disrespecting New York, he absolutely disrespected New York, ladies and gentlemen. To call Atlanta, we're gonna get to the video very soon, but to call Atlanta the most important place in rap music, disregard all the works, all the foundations, all the pioneers, the Cool Hercs, the Grand Wizard Theodores, the DJ AJs, the Cool Hercs, the Mr. Magics, all the pioneering MCs, the Rakims, the Big Daddy Kanes, the Melly Mels, all the GOATs like Nas, Jay-Z, Biggie. All of them don't matter. The most important city is Atlanta. Snap music, southern music, trap music. That's more important than what the pioneers laid down. That's more important than what, you know, what Rakim and Big Daddy Kane and what those rappers were doing and what they did and what they gave to the game, and what Nas and Jay-Z and Biggie and what they gave to the game, Wu-Tang Clan, Boot Camp Click, Onyx, 50 Cent. All of these great rappers that came out of New York, disregard them. Atlanta is the most important city to rap. Them franchise boys, D4L. Now listen, because some of y'all gonna say, whoa, why are you mentioning them? Why are you not mentioning people like Future? Why are you not mentioning people like T.I., Young Jeezy, Gucci Mane? Hey, listen, it started off having fun. Listen, Gucci Mane, Future, they came way later. Atlanta didn't start with those big artists like that. They had, you know, who else was from Atlanta? We could look it up. You know, the first Atlanta rapper, it might have been JT Money, the first rapper to come out of Atlanta. Was it JT Money? Is JT Money from Atlanta? We're gonna look this up. We're gonna take our time with this show. We're gonna look into the first Atlanta rapper. But let's play this video on how New York ultimately fell off, because it's a very informative video on what ultimately happened in New York, how they fell off. So let's play this video, because I thought the video was very good, and I'm gonna give my commentary on this video because it was very informative. So let's play this video. This video is from Stunted Growth. I want to give the man his props for this. It was a very good video. Did a very good job telling the story. So let's get into it, y'all. I'm gonna be reacting to it.
Fallen City Series: How New York Lost Their Sound. New York, the state, not just the city, has always been the bar for rap music, as hip-hop was created there, and the state of New York has always been and still is one of the biggest media hubs in the world and business hubs in general. Better than that, New York is arguably the most popular state and
Now that's a fact. That's an absolute fact. New York is one of the biggest hubs, one of the biggest places in the in the world. When it is, so let's continue.
Relationship with running hip hop, where history has shown it always came back to them, but not so much recently, at least not with the sound they became known for and loaned to artists all over the world throughout the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. The boom bap, introspective sound filled with bars and display of high skill level. Since then, New York has always had an artist from there be one of the more successful artists in the rap game, like Eric B. and Rakim, Run DMC and LL Cool J of the 80s, Wu-Tang, Tribe, Biggie.
He did a great job, eloquent, very articulate on what happened in New York.
Jay-Z and Nas of the 90s, the 2000s, 50 Cent, Ja Rule, Jay-Z and Nas still, Dipset and more, just to name a few from each decade that ran hip-hop from New York. Even though other places like the South and West Coast music had their times, Southern music arguably still more dominant in the game right now.
And that's the thing, we can't deny that Southern music has been running the game. That's not my argument. My argument isn't about that Southern music isn't dominating or Southern rap music isn't, the most prevalent, form of hip hop that's more, that's more in the mainstream and yada yada yada. That's evident. We can't debate that. But to call Atlanta the most important city in rap music, that is an absolute violation to New York City. But let's continue with the video.
Now, with artists like Future, Lil Baby, Travis Scott, NBA Youngboy, Young Thug, even Gunna, who just may have put out the best rap project this year. Currently, the state of New York hip-hop pretty much consists of them copying other places' style, like drill music being the sound they're clinging to at the moment, which Chicago is credited, and the UK, who took drill beats to a different level.
Now, is New York copying the drill sound? I have to admit, has New York been biting for the last couple years? I would have to say yes. It kind of is biting. It's kind of biting the drill sound. It kind of, before drill really took off, they were biting the Southern sound. So has New York been biting? Yes. We have to be honest here. Has New York been biting? Yes.
Rest in peace, Pop Smoke. New York's biggest artists right now have all either become pretty much drill rappers: Ice Spice, Chef G, Fabio Foreign, B Love, Shy K, and everyone else that sounds just like Shy K or some version of K Flock, with what I call the fumble flow, where all the words seems the end of them don't quite fit into the bar, but they say it while fumbling over the word anyway, with a hard beat behind it and content filled with non-stop violent threats. What New York has done since the cloud era is attempt to create a star that does all the same things already being done, just with the New York stamp behind them. Cardi B? Oh, stripper rap is becoming popular and selling? Let's grab one and create our own. Write her lyrics, sample the South to get her lit, push her music all.
And I think that was a bad thing for New York, for us to allow this woman to, and let's be honest, she took it very far, bro. I think when New York gave this woman the stamp of approval, that was a bad thing, bro. You had a talentless stripper, and she was easily one of the hottest or the hottest rapper in the city. That's what we allowed to happen. That was a bad look for New York when we allowed that. The 6ix9ine thing too, the 6ix9ine thing, when we allowed 6ix9ine to come through and pretty much run New York, run the sound, that was a bad look. And New York has taken a lot of L's. We took a L with the Cardi B. We took a by allowing her to become a star. We took a L with 6ix9ine. We lost Pop Smoke, who was one of the best, rappers to come out of New York in a very long time. Original sounding, distinctive voice. And we've had a lot of failures. But let's continue.
All over the radio and have our own viable artists to compete in these times where we lost our originality. New York has always been about not biting someone else's style and trying to be different, even if commercially it hurt them. For these reasons, it seems New York as a state, city, and let's include the tri-state also, has fallen, and who knows when they'll be back to running hip-hop again.
I'm gonna tell you right now, Fabio Ford, his old behind, Fabio is like 45, y'all. Do not be fooled. He is what you call an old young nigga. He is old. Fabio Ford, that was another L for New York. When we thought Fabio was gonna put the city on his back, that was another L. He's an old dude perpetrating like he's like some young buck. That was another L for us, you know, thinking that Fabio was gonna put the city on his back. But let's continue.
What happened? Let's talk about it. It's your boy JC Stunner Growth Music. Let's get it, man. Take a minute to like.
We'll get into some commercials. Hold on, y'all. But yeah, man, when we allowed Fabio, we thought some of y'all thought Fabio was gonna take over the city. His old behind. Let's continue though.
Who I should do next? New York hip hop is deep and full of history that can go on for hours when speaking about hip hop culture. It all started there as a form of black and brown people expressing themselves in one of the only creative ways afforded to them. By the late 80s, New York hip hop evolved into placing.
This is the pioneer. Like, New York is the pioneering city of hip hop, bro. This is the Mecca. The originators of this art form, ladies and gentlemen, excuse me, the originators of this art form. And y'all allowed. And listen, if New York is cool with it, if New York want to say, oh, it's not a big deal, if New York want to act like it's not a big deal, yada, 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 oh, it's whatever, it's Drake can do whatever he want, then that's cool, you know, then we could end the stream right now. But for you that are out there that is disgusted that a suburban kid from Canada called Atlanta, the home of snap music and trap music, called them the most important city to rap. You should take offense to that. You should be disgusted at that. But let's continue.
More emphasis on lyrical skill and rhyme patterns that were more personal and original as possible. It also became more socially conscious, receiving the message from Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five and running with it through Public Enemy and throughout the early 90s with Tribe Called Quest, De La Soul, Native Tongues, and more. Notable artists began to emerge in the early 90s like Nas, Notorious B.I.G., Wu-Tang, Mobb Deep, and Onyx.
And this is when New York was running hip-hop. New York was running hip-hop from, I would say New York was running hip-hop from about 95, from 95, really 94, but 95 to about 2003-ish, because you had 50. So from 95 to about 2003-ish, we were running hip-hop, predominantly running hip-hop. And this man, he's going to go into what happened. How did we lose our handle on this thing called hip hop? What happened to the artists? All the infighting, all the nonsense. Let's continue.
Bringing in the hardcore era of rap, right before mafioso rap had its run with Jay-Z, Biggie, Raekwon, Ghostface, and AZ. New York's Sean Combs and Bad Boy Records changed the game in the mid to late 90s with Billboard Rap geared towards shine, chart-topping hit songs that were marketable on a stage able to compete with pop music. Then, in the early 2000s, gangsta rap in New York made its way to the forefront again, mixed with what they learned from the Billboard era, mixing the two to make hits. Artists like 50 Cent, Ja Rule, again Jay-Z and Nas, Dipset, Fabulous, and more. Right before the South took the reins with snap music and ringtone rap, and again in the 2010s with...
And that's the thing with Southern and Atlanta music. They gotta wear that on their jacket. They gotta wear the snap music. They gotta wear the ringtone rap. They gotta wear that on their jacket. You know? That wasn't the most eloquent, that wasn't the most predominant, that wasn't like the avant-garde rap, that wasn't like the Basquiat rap, that was like dumbed down rap. And you know that and I'm gonna be honest with you, is that what's predominantly running the industry now? Yes. There's no intelligent, you know, rap on the radio right now. You may get a J. Cole or a Kendrick record every now and then that may, you know, that may challenge the listener, but for the foreseeable future, it's just Southern hip hop that has been dumbing down the listener. But let's continue.
What New York has always struggled with: melody and catchy hooks repetitive enough to be sung along to by anyone. The New York sound and stronghold on the game faded over time into them not having real representation true to what it's been famous for.
They getting all their commercials in. If y'all in here, make sure y'all like this video, man. We are talking about Drake disrespecting and violating New York City, and we're also talking about what exactly happened to New York. How did New York lose its grip on hip hop? How is in 2023 we got a suburban kid saying that Atlanta, not New York, but Atlanta is the most important city in hip hop, is the most important city to rap music is Atlanta, not New York, not the mecca of hip hop, but Atlanta. Let's get back into the video, ladies and gentlemen. Hope y'all enjoying this. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. Let's get it on. Click this right quick.
Stunt number 1, what's beef? Competition has always been a part of hip-hop and became all too real in the mid-90s with the death of Tupac and Biggie, but was always one side versus the other until New York began beefing with itself in the early 2000s. Jay-Z and Nas's back and forth started the divide, then 50 Cent came and opened the gap even more in New York, as he was one of the biggest artists the world has ever seen when he...
Now I'm gonna stop right there. I gotta stop it right here. Now, we cannot deny that when 50 Cent came through the door, when 50 Cent, because ultimately, let's be honest, 50 Cent and Nicki Minaj are the last two megastars from New York. We don't have any more megastars from New York. And I think Pop Smoke had the potential to become a megastar, but ultimately the man had his untimely demise. But Nicki and 50 Cent are the last two megastars to come through New York. And when 50 came through the door, he caused a lot of division in New York, man. He caused a lot of division. He created a red line, because when he was going back and forth with Ja Rule, you couldn't work with Ja Rule. You couldn't do a song with Ja Rule. He had essentially blackballed Ja Rule, because here you got the hottest artist in the game. Just imagine this. Let me put this in perspective. Imagine if, let's use Drake instead of 50 Cent. Imagine you're a poppin' artist and you're beefing with Drake, and Drake is not going to do a feature with you. Drake is gonna continually disrespect your career. He's gonna do diss songs about you and crap on you. He's the hottest artist in the game, dissing you, laughing at every time you sell under 100K, violates you just because you did a record with somebody he doesn't like, and he essentially blackballs you. That's what 50 Cent did to Ja Rule. That's what 50 Cent did to Murder Inc. And a lot of artists from New York couldn't touch Ja Rule, couldn't be around him. And when, you know, artists like Fat Joe, Jadakiss, and other artists started, you know, working with Ja Rule again, essentially after some time, it created a big rift in New York. And then 50 started beefing with Jay-Z. Then he starts beefing with Cameron. And then it just started this big explosion in New York, where, you know, rappers were already there was already a lot of division in New York, where this one didn't want to work with that one didn't work with this one. Everybody wants to feel like they're the best, they're the greatest, they're the best in New York. And 50 made it even more divided. But let's get back into the video.
Came out, New York had to pick a side between he and Ja Rule, and while they were doing...
Oh yeah, I forgot that, hold on. Give me a second, because I did forget that, I got the music on. Hold on, y'all. All right. Let's get back into the video.
That, the South crept in right under their noses, and other coasts followed right behind.
Now, let me stop right there. What he's saying is absolutely true, because as soon as New York started doing all that infighting, where it was Jay-Z, well, Jay-Z, he ain't want no parts of it. Jay-Z, he like retired around this point. He ain't want no parts of this. But when 50 Cent was pretty much the biggest artist in New York, and he was beefing with everybody, and, you know, 50 Cent is beefing with Fat Joe and Ja Rule and Jadakiss, and Cameron is beefing with this one and that one, and it's causing division, and this one can't work with that one, and all this division in hip hop from New York. That's when the South really started coming in and started taking over. And you saw, and there's a famous picture of all like the Southern artists where they did like a picture in Atlanta. Now, let me see if I can find it. Hold on. There's a famous picture. I remember I seen it one time. Hold on. All of Southern rap artists. We doing an informative show today. We're gonna get into it. All of Southern rap artists take picture. Let me see if I can find that pic. Where's that picture? I don't know if the source took it or where's that picture, bro? Atlanta rap artists take picture together. It's a famous picture, man. I don't know where I could find it. I remember oh man, I'm mad I can't find it, y'all. And I forgot what magazine did the picture. Hold on. I know T.I. was there. Hold on. I know T.I. was there. Hold on. T.I. and other Southern rap artists take picture. I know T.I. was in that picture. I just don't remember who else was there. But it was like a bunch of Southern artists. T.I. and other Southern rap artists take picture at house. Wow, I can't find that picture. Wow. I don't know where that picture is, man. But it's a famous picture where it's like a bunch of Southern rap artists and they all take like this. They all taking like this picture together. My point is that, you know, the Southern rap artists, they were all working together at that time, and they were all on one accord, you know, working together. Yeah, man, I can't find that picture, but yeah, but maybe I'll look for it again. But let's continue with the video.
It even opened the door for artists outside the country to forge a path, with New York too busy feuding with itself.
And here you go. You got the guy that we're talking about, Drake.
That's when New York fell, and with Southern artists showing working together and outworking everyone else can lead to success, things were never the same. They continued that work ethic from Lil Wayne to Future, Young Thug down to NBA Youngboy in their insane output, with hip-hop going pop.
And my question to New York, if anybody from New York is watching this in the live or in the rebroadcast, why aren't we creating? Because, you know, I see we got the drill artists, you know, they're making noise and whatever. You got the DD Osama, you got the Shy EK, the Shy G's, the Yes G's. You got you got all of these guys. A lot of them are locked up, mind you. K Flock locked up, Chef G locked up. One of my favorite drill artists, Sugar Hill Keem, locked up. But my question is, why haven't we created the next New York star or the next New York superstar? Like, why don't we have a New York artist that is as impactful or that is that organic like an NBA Youngboy? Is it the fact that, you know, they get wrapped up in a Rico so fast? Is it like a K Flock, or, you know, they get caught up with the police? Is it like, what is it? Why can't New York create a new? The last time we put the Jets on somebody or put the crown on somebody was Pop Smoke. But where's that next star? Where's that next, like, where's our NBA Youngboy? Where's our Young Thug? Where's our, you know, Little Baby that is representing New York? Where is that for us? Let's continue.
Pop by the 2010s, New York's boom bap, lyrical sound felt misplaced and underdone, right in the mix of hip-hop becoming more of a melodic vibe with club-friendly songs. Lyrics had gone from conscious and mafioso to attacking other MCs personally, becoming too hardcore, believe it or not, for the radio, and New York suffered because they didn't understand how to play along with the melodies. Stunt number 2, the lost era.
Now this part of the stunted growth is gonna be some real deal spill, because I ain't gonna lie, man. This is like the most important piece on how New York fell off right here. Yo, Trenches, shout out to you, man. Shout out to you. But yeah, man. Trenches says every time we create one, he's killed off like Pop Smoke. I agree. Every time. I mean, like, honestly, before we get back into the video, like, what you saying is 110% true, bro. Because let's really walk it down, bro. Let's walk it down. We get Pop Smoke, right? We get Pop Smoke. Everybody in New York was rocking with dude. I was rocking with dude. Everybody, and we put the Jets on him. We put the crown on him. We was like, yo, Pop Smoke is that dude. Everybody was loving his vibe. Everybody was like, yo, he got like a DMX 50 Cent type of vibe and sound, and like over these drill beats. Everybody was vibing. Then he gets killed off. The man got killed off. And then we hear all of the records that he's been working on, and we're all looking like, man, this dude was mad talented. But ultimately, the man loses his life. Let's go back even further. A rapper by the name of Max B caught 75 years at the one of the peaks of his career. The man was making hit records with Jim Jones, had the mixtape game in a frenzy. What happens? The man gets 75. He's still in jail. BG done came home. All of these rappers then came. Bobby Smurda did a whole 7-year bid. They've been telling us Max B gonna come home for the last 15 years. Another one. Let me throw another name out there. Stack Bundles. Another promising New York MC that ultimately lost his life. So we've seen this happen over and over and over. I mean, we could go back to Biggie, damn near. That's 97. And the part of the video that I really want to talk about is coming up. The Lost Era. Because this man, he breaks down how all of the rappers that came after, the rappers that came after Jay-Z, the rappers that came after 50 Cent, we're talking about guys like Joel Santana, guys like Lloyd Banks. A lot of those guys, man, did not carry their side of the bargain. They did not, I'm gonna be honest with you, a lot of New York rappers at this time, I'm talking about 06, 07, where New York rap could have came back. New York could have had a voice at that time. A lot of the New York rappers in 06, 07, 05-ish, they got lazy. A lot of them got lazy. They had a couple platinum plaques, maybe a platinum album, maybe a gold album. And they wanted to lay back, buy a house in Jersey, while hip hop kept going on and Southern rap came in and took over. Because think about it, 06, 07, this is when Southern hip hop was really starting to take over. You started to see the emergence of a T.I., the emergence of a Gucci Man, a Young Jeezy, and Southern, Rick Ross. And Southern hip hop became the standard because a lot of New York rappers got lazy. The rappers that were supposed to carry on the next generation. Joel Santana was the next generation for New York. Nas and Jay-Z in 06, 07, they were already veterans. They were already GOAT status. Their names were already in the rafters. It was up to the Joel Santanas, the Lloyd Bankses, the Fabulouses to take that and to carry on tradition, to carry on the sound of New York. They dropped the ball. But let's continue because he gets into it.
A huge reason New York's sound seemed to disappear and not evolve from the mid-2000s into the 2010s was because after their artists from the 90s and 2000s became elder statesmen in the game, beginning to be past the age they were the inspiration
He's talking about it
for cool, like Jay-Z, 50 Cent, Nas, and Bad Boy, they didn't have strong representation in the artists that followed that era and were supposed to carry the torch for New York. Artists like Joel Santana, Stack Bundles, Max B, Chinx Drugs, Papoose, J.R. Writer, Saigon, Mano, Jim Jones, even Fabulous, and the list goes on, of rappers
they dropped all of the rappers that he named, respectfully, no matter what it is. It could have been a lot of things, whether they not having the right sound, whether they were lazy. A lot of them were lazy, or jail, because that's ultimately what happened with Max B, or ultimately somebody dying, like Stack Bundles. But that generation of New York rappers, the Joel Santanas, the Lloyd Bankses, the Manos, the Jim Jones, all the people he mentioned, they dropped the ball for New York hip hop. Because I believe, like, let me put this out. This is a very informative live here. We're really talking about New York hip hop. If you're tuning in here, we're really talking about it. But let me. This is real pivotal. I want you guys to listen to this. There have been at least 2 pivotal times in New York hip hop, right? Now let me tell you the first pivotal time in New York hip hop. This is a history lesson, ladies and gentlemen. you are in tune for a history lesson. Let me tell you the two times where it was pivotal for New York hip hop to make a stand, make a statement, to make noise. The first time that New York had to do something different and had to adjust, right, was when West Coast music and hip hop was kicking our ass. When Snoop Dogg came with the big perm, with the gin and juice, Dr. Dre, it was loped out. When that West Coast sound came into hip hop, they were running things, right? They were running things. And in 92, 93, 94, hip hop, New York hip hop had to adjust. We had to adjust. It was no more, we couldn't do the slick Rick or the, with the big dookie chains and all of that. Hip hop had to get more gangster. Hip hop had to be more hardcore. It was no more slick Rick. It was no more Dougie Fresh. It was no more of that. Hip hop, New York hip hop had to answer the call and had to adjust to what West Coast hip hop was doing. And that was a very pivotal time. And I'm going to tell you right now, if hip hop didn't adjust and then create an answer for West Coast hip hop, the West Coast would have taken over hip hop at that time completely. There would have been no Nas, Jay-Z, Wu-Tang Clan. If they didn't answer the call at that time, those New York MCs and those New York rappers did not answer the call, the West Coast would have completely dominated the 90s. But gladly, we had great MCs, great artists that answered the call. Now let's talk about the second pivotal time in New York hip hop. And that was 05, 06, 07, the era he's talking about. And these artists dropped the ball. The artist that he named dropped the ball. Lloyd Banks, Joel Santana, Saigon, Mano, Pat Poose, Max B, Stack Bundles. Now listen, all of their stories are different on why they ultimately didn't carry the torch for hip hop, for New York hip hop, and become the next big superstars out of New York. All of them have different stories. Because we could lay it out. Joel Santana, I can get into his story. I believe Joel Santana was one of the most promising stars out of that bunch. But he got lazy. Here this man was working with one of the biggest, one of the most impactful, one of the most creative, one of the most influential rappers in Lil Wayne. He was neck and neck with him. And you could not get this man to drop an album. You cannot get this man to drop a song. And then he tried to blame it on Cameron. Cameron didn't want to let me out the deal, yada, yada, yada. But when Cameron sold his contract to Def Jam, what happened? He never dropped an album. He never dropped anything. He still to this day has not put out an album. He was one of the lazy ones. And then you got Lloyd Banks. If you don't know, 50 Cent, he talks about how lazy Lloyd Banks was. He talks about how lazy Lloyd Banks didn't want to get out and get it. Lloyd Banks was supposed to be 50 Cent's successor. He was supposed to surpass him. Everybody knew Lloyd Banks was the best rapper on G Unit. Everybody knew Lloyd Banks was the most talented rapper in G Unit, but he got lazy. And that's ultimately their two stories. Then we get into the other stories, and everybody's story is different. I believe Max B is another promising star for New York. And think about it. Everybody I'm talking about is in that era. They're in that 05, 06, 07, 08 era. They were all stars then. And everybody has a different story. Max B, his problem, he wound up going to jail, getting 75 years. This man was the hottest thing on the mixtape circuit. He was the hottest mixtape artist at that point in time in his life. One of the hottest mixtape artists. His work ethic was there. But you know, Jim Jones, I guess Jim Jones wasn't taking care of him. So ultimately he felt like, you know, I don't know what happened that night, but you know, he ultimately wound up going to jail. But everybody's story is different. Pat Poose, another promising star, couldn't make a hit. Couldn't make a hit record. Couldn't make a hit record and ultimately chose the wrong record deal. Pat Poose needed another mentor. I know K Slay, rest in peace. K Slay was one of his mentors, but I think he needed another mentor. I think he needed a better mentor and a better. He should have went somewhere else instead of going with Busta Rhymes. Busta Rhymes and K Slay was I think going to Busta Rhymes, like, come on, who has Busta Rhymes made a star? I think that was a bad idea for him to go to Busta Rhymes to be made a star. But what I'm trying to get at is that a lot of the artists that were supposed to be the next generation of New York, they dropped the ball. Some of them were lazy, like Joel's and Lloyd Banks. Some of them, you know, ultimately they wound up going to jail and that stalled their career, like Max B. And then there were others like Mano, Saigon, that just wasn't good enough. Then you got guys like Pat Poose who were very talented, very creative, but couldn't make a hit record, couldn't make melodic records, wasn't in the right, you know, situation with the right rapper to mentor him. And that's ultimately what happened. Let's get back into this video though.
After the Jays and Nas's that for whatever reason weren't able to succeed their predecessors due to their untimely demise, lengthy prison sentences, or didn't have the work ethic, skill, or leadership to create their own path, separate from needing a Jay-Z and Rockefeller Records or big name artists to take them under their wings. Fabulous, for one, was supposed to be like the 2010s Jay-Z. Juelz was supposed
Fabulous, he's another one. He's another one that I believe dropped the ball. Fabulous could have been the next Jay-Z. Fabulous had everything that Fabulous could have been the next big star. But he ultimately got lazy at a point in time. I'm not saying that he was always lazy, but he did get lazy at a point in time in his career.
to be the next market.
And notice how everybody that they're talking about, every artist they talking about, that second generation in New York, right? Notice how none of them are working today. When was the last time Fabulous dropped an album? When was the last time Joel's dropped an album? Look it up. When was the last time Lloyd Banks, he's been working. I'll give Lloyd Banks that. He's been working. But a lot of these guys, they've been sitting in the cut for a lot of years. Look at their discography. I mean, some of them haven't been working for a while in terms of, dropping new music. So a lot of them took a long breaks off. Haven't dropped music in 5-10 years. Just started doing it again. Let's continue.
Artists carrying the torch for Dipset and New York, seen as just as big an artist as Lil Wayne in the late 2000s, with the potential to be even bigger. Lyrical artists like Papoose, Saigon, and J.R. Writer weren't charismatic enough in their rhymes to blend with the radio sound becoming popular, still forcing their bars over melody approach that would have worked back in the mid-90s, but
the most promising stars out of that bunch from that era was, in my opinion, the most promising stars, was Joel Santana, Max B, Fabulous, and I'm going to throw Pat Poose in there. Pat Poose was, honestly, on the mixtape level, everybody was checking for him. He was the biggest thing on the mixtape circuit at one point. But if I had to take my pick, those were the four biggest stars that could have been the next big stars out of New York. They could have been on a 50 Cent level, on a Jay-Z level, on a Nas level. But whatever it was, whether it was they got lazy, whether it was they, went to jail, or whether it was they couldn't make the right record at the right time and didn't have the charisma, ultimately they didn't carry on the tradition of rap. I mean, they didn't carry on the tradition for New York rap. They didn't carry, they didn't put New York on their back and carry it.
Certainly not in the 2010s. Then, when that era became older than what's hip, New York completely lost its face, beginning to wear whatever was popular.
And I remember that era as well, ladies and gentlemen. There was an era when New York wasn't hip anymore. New York wasn't, and then you started seeing the emergence of an A$AP Rocky, a guy who's like, who's, influenced by Southern hip hop. He's a New York guy, but is influenced by Southern hip hop. That's when you saw the Bobby Smurdas, another guy who's influenced by Southern hip hop. And we did lose our sound. We did lose our soul in that era of all these, rappers who, didn't do what was right, or couldn't carry the torch or whatever. But let's continue. And this is the third stunted growth, sounding like everybody else.
Stunt number 3, sounding like everyone else. In what seems like a last-ditch effort, New York just conformed and conceded to losing their grips on the game and saw the only way to continue being relevant was to do what everyone else were doing.
Hold on.
And their sound continued to dissolve and be forgotten. Credit to guys like Joey Badass, Dave East, even A$AP Rocky for attempting to keep their threads in the fabric sewn in hip-hop of the newer generation, but the influence of Chief Keef and Lil Wayne along with Waka Flocka and the South were too much and too strong to not see that as an avenue to try. I don't solely blame New York, because drill music, mumble rap / the SoundCloud era, and melodic Rico rap had become so strong and, more importantly, so flooding throughout hip-hop in general that whatever sound that wasn't one of those in the 2010s was hard to get through for most not named Aubrey, Jermaine, or Kendrick. Meek Mill, as an offspring of New York rap from Philadelphia, was the last representative of that New York sound in the newer era, and even he has been accused recently of conforming to the sounds made popular by Lil Durk.
My fault, but I mean, that's pretty much the 3 stunted growths. But let me know what y'all think of that, man. Here you have, let me put my music back on. Hold on, y'all. Hold on, let me get back into my bag. Hold on. But let me know what y'all guys think. I mean, what did New York do to fall off to the point where we have a suburban kid from Canada telling the world that Atlanta is the most important place in rap music? Ladies and gentlemen, what did New York do wrong? And we need to also ask ourselves, why aren't we creating these new stars? Let's be honest, man. A lot of these drill artists, a lot of them are trash. A lot of them aren't stars. A lot of them can't make a hit. There's a few of them that are talented. I think that K Flock was talented. I think that Sugar Hill Keem is talented. I think that Chef G talented. But a lot of them are trash. A lot of them, they're gonna be making these drill songs forever. They're never gonna really catch it because they just, they all sound the same. None of them are, really trying to experiment with different sounds that's gonna, possibly change their life. Maybe a lot of these kids could be one hit away from, maybe just experimenting with a different sound, and maybe that might be the hit that actually catches on. But no, they just wanna diss somebody's dead man's, talk about smoking on somebody, violent lyrics. And it's all just the same jargon. It's the same thing over and over and over. And we're stuck asking ourselves, why don't we have a New York artist that is as big as a Little Baby right now? Why don't we have our own Drake? Why don't we have our own, a Gunna? Why don't we have our own New York artists that are popping right now? Why aren't New York rappers being represented? You got old grandpa dudes that, like Fabio Foreign. Fabio Foreign is not the future of New York. He's not the future of New York rap. K-Flock had the potential to be the next star, but you see what the boys did. They locked him up. Chef G, he had a lot of potential too. They locked him up. And ultimately, we just see that's the trend. The trend for New York rap is they become a drill rapper. They either, ultimately lose their life, or, the boys come in and wrap them up in some, a RICO or some type of, arrest record or whatever. And they wind up spending years in jail. My favorite drill rapper, his name is Sugar Hill Keem. Look him up, guys, if y'all have the time. Look him up. He's talented. He's a talented drill rapper. I love his music, but he's doing a 5-year bid. I don't think that in 5 years, I don't think that New York drill will be even, important like that. In 5 years, he's gonna do a 5-year bid. His buzz is not gonna be there in 5 years. It'll be, whatever else the kids are doing at that time. But we had a suburban Canadian kid come in to, and tell the world that Atlanta is the most important place in rap music. Not the birthplace, not New York City. And I was absolutely positively disgusted at that. That nobody had anything to say, nobody confronted him, nobody stopped him, nobody corrected him, nobody did absolutely, positively nothing. Everybody just sit there and took it. Just because he's Drake, just because he's one of the biggest rap stars of all time, everybody just sit there and nodded their head. I was disgusted. New York is the birthplace of hip hop, ladies and gentlemen. And we deserve some damn respect. And those are my thoughts, man. I want to thank y'all for joining me. Shout out to Trenches Politics TV, man. Thank you for joining me tonight, man. Salute to you. And make sure y'all join me on the next stream. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, whether you're watching this on the live stream or the rebroadcast. Thank y'all for joining me. I got an album coming out this Friday. If you guys are listening, I want you guys to check my album out. It's called The Yellow Album. The name of the album is called The Yellow Album. Let me see if I can put it up on the stream real quick. I think I got enough time. Hold on. The name of my album is called The Yellow Album. It's coming out this week, y'all. I want to just do a little promo here. Why not? I'm over here playing a guy's video that I've never ever met. Why not promo my stuff real quick? I got an album coming out. Let me put it up on the screen for y'all. It's the name of the album is called The Yellow Album. I want you guys to check that out. I want y'all guys to stream it. Here it is. This is the album. The Yellow Album. I want you guys to check out this album. It's a really good album. Me and my friend made it. I think you guys are gonna enjoy it. I think you guys are gonna like it. It's gonna be on all streaming platforms on Friday. I think I may even do a listening party for the album. I think I'm gonna do a listening party on that Friday that it comes out. But please make sure y'all go check out the album. It's gonna be under True and Livin. I have an artist page on Spotify. You can catch me on Spotify, Amazon, Apple Music. It's going to be everywhere, guys. And I want you guys to check out the tape. It's going to be called The Yellow Album. Dropping this Friday. But thank y'all for joining me on this late night stream. I'm out of here. Y'all have a good night. Y'all have a good week. I'll probably come back with another stream tomorrow. had to just talk about, Aubrey Graham. But thank y'all for joining me. I'm out of here, man. Toodles.